okay if I keep all this music here?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Right now? I have 1 minute. Okay.
was born by a river in a little town. Just like the river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. I go to the movie and I go downtown. Somebody telling me don't be hanging round. It's been a long time coming, but I know brother, and I say, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Oh, there have been times that I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I think I can carry it all. It's been a long time coming, but I know
we kindle the symbol of our community of faith for the light of truth, the warmth of love, and the fire of commitment.
Good morning. I'm LB, your Director of Music and Worship Arts. I use the pronouns he, him, and his. And as always, we will not tell you how to participate. We simply invite you to join in if the Spirit moves you. All of the congregational singing this morning has been chosen to match the sermon, and most of it comes from the Justice Choir songbook, Songs of Protest and Strength. We begin this morning with One Foot, Lead with Love by the singer-activist Melanie D'Amour. We've sung this before. It's call and response, but if you feel like singing along with me, go right ahead. Let's get some boom chicks going. You gotta put one foot in front of the other Again, you gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. You're not alone. Don't give up. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Lift up your eyes. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. Look up ahead. The path is there. The path is there. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. We gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared. And I'm scared too. But here I am. Right next to you. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. You're not alone. Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And lead with love. And lead with love.
Good morning, beautiful people. I am pumped to see a whole bunch of faces I've never seen before, which I think is wonderful. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greater Lansing. I'm Reverend John-Marc Ormechea, and my pronouns are they, he. And I am blessed to be with you in worship today. No matter who you are or where you are on your spiritual or religious journey, you are welcome here. You are welcome with your questions as well as your convictions, with your faith and your doubts, with your griefs and your joys. Whether you come seeking connection, comfort, challenge, or simply a place to breathe, and we all need that, so let's take a deep breath in. Please know that you belong here, just as you are. But before we get started, I have a few announcements. The first is that this coming Saturday, there's going to be a Code Pink rummage sale starting at 10 a.m. in the social hall. And if you don't know who Code Pink is, they're a feminist grassroots organization working to end U.S. warfare and to promote social justice. So come and get some stuff if you would like. Also, next Sunday, we will create a shared table of remembrance to honor those who came before us. You are invited to bring an item that represents someone or something whose presence continues to guide, inspire, or sustain you. And there will be a pledge table in the social hall this Sunday, October 26th, to get information, ask questions, or submit a paper pledge. And Catherine Patton, Congregational Administrator, will be holding office hours after the service. For more information about the pledge drive, though, we have Ralph Putnam.
Ralph Putnam, Treasurer, pronouns he, him. You've heard many times from up here that this beloved community we call UU Lansing is only possible through our time, talent, and treasure that we all bring. Giving what we can financially is essential for our community to thrive. You guys know that. That folks know that is evident by the progress we've been making on this year's pledge drive. $440,000 from 134 pledgers. That's great. We're in just a bit of a tight spot right now, though, because we haven't heard from everybody, and we're still quite a ways from our $540,000 that we need to make the budget that we're hoping for next year. The problem is that when we vote as a congregation on that budget on November 16th, we can only include received pledges as income for next year. So it doesn't matter how much you're planning to give next year. If you don't tell us with a pledge, we can't include it in the budget. So please, please, please get those pledges in by November 4th. And as John-Marc just said, there'll be folks from the pledge drive in the social hall to talk with you about that. We'll also have folks from the finance team to talk about the budget and how that's coming along if you want to. Thank you.
The New to UU class is next Sunday, November 2nd from 12 to 2 p.m. in the Red Room in the Education Wing. A light lunch will be served as we share stories, answer questions, and explore how our community creates space for joy, wisdom, and meaning. And don't forget to turn your clocks back next Sunday so you're not late for church. But after all of that, now this morning, we will be exploring what it means to cultivate compassion. That is, what it means to live with open hearts and willing hands, alongside some unexpected teachers. We'll learn from Miss Frizzle, who reminded us to take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. And from those throughout history who were not afraid to do just that, to risk comfort for compassion, to embody love through action, and to stand with those who suffer. So settle into this sacred space and know that you are part of something larger than yourself. Something built on courage, curiosity, and care. Welcome to this sacred space. Now, before we get started today, I want to take a minute to greet one another. First, by those joining us via the live stream, if you guys want to wave back there. And because we have such a packed service this morning, take a moment to greet each other from your seats. Thank you.
Shoulder to shoulder, keep moving on. Resilience, make a new plan. Show up again and say, yes, we can. Resilience, we are strong. Shoulder to shoulder, keep moving on. Resilience, make a new plan. Show up again and say, yes. One more time. Resilience,
Thank you. Hello, my name is Jennifer Blum, as most of you know. My pronouns are she and her. I serve on the Faith Development Team, volunteer with the high school youth program, and I am the president-elect of the board here at UU Lansing. So, I would like to share a scary and hopeful story for all ages to honor Sarah Carson, our Children and Youth Faith Development Coordinator, who will be stepping down from her role on February 26th, today. So all of the volunteers supporting faith development here at UU Lansing would like to thank Sarah for everything that she has done to grow and enrich our programs. Now, this is going to be, I need participation from you all. So during the scary part of this story, we would like to invite you to respond with shivers and scary sounds. So let's practice. We will be saying boo, but not like boo, you're bad, like boo, scary. So I will be pointing at you, or you can just figure out that when I'm done with this, I will pause at the end of each sentence, and that's when you shiver and boo. So I'd like to practice. So we'll say boo. Or shiver too. Lisa's giving me hints back there, so we're gonna boo. So, and we'll hear the gong. So, are you ready? Okay. Before Sarah joined us as the Children and Youth Faith Development Coordinator, we were going through a scary time of concern. We struggled with losing the staff who replaced our longtime director of religious education, who retired after many years of beloved service. We struggled with being isolated from one another during COVID times. That calls for a boo. We struggled with low enrollment of children and youth in religious education after COVID. I just said that. We struggled to fund the Faith Development Coordinator with the church operating budget. Here comes the hopeful part of the story. So now you will respond with gently fluttering butterflies and gentle yays. So I hope you all got butterflies that wanted one. And here comes our butterfly. So we'll practice saying yay. Then the UU Lansing congregation rallied to fund the Faith Development Coordinator position, and we hired Sarah Carson, who came to us with a background in religious programming for youth and professional experience in teaching, writing, and teaching her own poetry. Yay! So Sarah also provided leadership and creativity to get our religious education programs back on solid footing. Yay! Sarah instilled hope for adapting and rebuilding our faith development programs in the context of changes and challenges that were experienced by UU congregations all over the country. Yay! With her wonderful sense of humor, Sarah helped us roll with the punches as we resurrected some of our traditional events, like the Halloween party we had last night, youth overnights, which we will have next month, and cinnamon roll and soup lunch fundraisers. Yay! Sarah brought her energy and creativity to new events like the kickoff gathering at Hawk Island Park, the winter tubing event, and the multi-age Valentine's Day celebration. Yay! Sarah brought her creativity and expertise in writing and reading poetry to our Story for All Ages and workshops. Yay! Though she has worked with us for only a short time, about a year and a half, Sarah leaves us inspired with hope, creativity, imagination, and humor that will carry us forward to the next chapter in our faith development for children and youth here at UU Lansing. Yay! So, we have all thoroughly enjoyed working with Sarah, and she will be sorely missed. We love you, Sarah, and we will miss you. And we wish you, we were supposed to do a yay. And we wish you and Zuzu all the best, and we would look forward to seeing you here at UU Lansing. Yay!
And now, as Sarah and the youth and the volunteers go down to the education wing, we're going to sing. Shout out with joy, we live for Christmas. The mountains and the hills will break forth before you. There'll be shouts of joy, and all the trees of the field will clap their hands. And all the trees of the field will clap their hands. The trees of the field will clap their hands. The trees of the field will clap their hands. And you'll go out with joy. This morning, Kelsea Hector was scheduled to be our worship associate, but she's unable to be here, so I'm going to read the call to worship which she has written. These are her words and her personal experience, not mine. I am often someone who shows up to fix problems for others. I see their mess and all the tangled strands that connect to it. It's like my brain is wired for pattern recognition. I can follow those strands out to all the possible paths, all the what-ifs, all the things that might work. And because I'm usually in problem-solving mode, when I'm confronted with a problem, my first instinct is to fix it, to find the solution, to make the pain make sense. But sometimes, and this has been a hard truth to learn, that causes more harm than good. If I stepped in and fixed all of my children's problems, they would never develop into who they're meant to be. They would never learn their own strength, their own wisdom. They would stand under the weight of my shadow forever and be terrified to stand and bask in the sun. This truth is not only for how we parent our children, but also how we show up for others. This is why I started asking people a simple question before jumping in. Do you want me to listen, or do you want advice? That tiny question changed everything. It taught me that how we show up for others matters as much as that we had showed up at all. Reaching people where they're at is a hell of a task, and we make it infinitely harder when we get in our own way. Sometimes people don't need rescuing. Sometimes they just need to fall, or to be witnessed, or to be seen for who they are without us trying to tidy their story. It's hard, though, not to see others through the lens of our own being, our experiences, our narratives, our sense of right and wrong. But compassion, real compassion, means setting down the script we've written for them and being willing to listen to the one they're writing for themselves. We cultivate compassion not by knowing someone's full truth, but by honoring the part they choose to share and understanding they are far more complex than whatever single story we get to take part in. Because really, we're all just living inside our own narration, trying to make sense of this wild, unpredictable, beautiful mess of being human. And human relationship, human existence is hard. It's messy, it's full of misunderstanding, missed cues, and moments that don't go how we hoped they would. But here's the thing. When we show up for others, we don't have to show up perfectly. Social media tries to sell us the illusion that everyone's life looks tidy, and society often tells us that we should arrive in other people's lives polished and certain, with all the right words and none of the cracks showing. But the truth? You are infinitely more fabulous when you show up as your messy self, when your heart is on your sleeve, when your voice shakes a little because you care, when you don't know the answer, but you show up anyway. Because compassion doesn't mean having the fix. It means choosing to stand in the mud beside someone and saying, you're not alone in this. And that same truth applies inward too. We can't pour out compassion for others if we don't learn how to offer it to ourselves. I'll be honest, I often struggle to see myself as a leader. I still hear that inner critic, the echoes of old voices telling me I'm not enough, that I don't belong. Maybe it's because I don't look what people think a leader should look like. Maybe it's because I'm too crass, or I swear a little too much. But what I've learned, sometimes the hard way, is that those so-called flaws, those rough edges, are exactly what make me a better leader. They remind me that I don't have to pretend to be perfect to show up. They help me show up for myself and for others in a way that's real and human and alive. And honestly, it's about damn time we have more voices at the front who show up as themselves, unpolished, passionate, hearts wide open, and sleeves rolled up. Because compassion doesn't grow in the clean corners of our lives. It grows in the dirt, in the middle of the mess, between the moments when we try and fall short and still choose to love anyway. So take a deep breath. Let yourself be messy. Let others be messy too. And remember this, all of this is temporary and fleeting. We shouldn't waste our time on pretending to be someone who we are not, or forcing others to conform to what we believe they should be. In the words of Miss Frizzle, seatbelts, everyone. Thank you, Kelsey. Come, let us worship together.
Let us now take a moment, as our custom, the last Sunday of the month, to reflect on those we both know and don't know who passed this month. As is our custom, we now enter into the ritual of Touchstones, where you will come up in a line to take as many stones as needed and drop them to the columns of water on either side of the sanctuary, reflecting on something you are celebrating, or perhaps grieving, or just sitting with in this moment. One such joy is a celebration of longtime friend to you, Lansing, Joan Fair, who turned 96 this past Friday. So if you're watching, Joan, know that you are loved and that we are all wishing you a happy belated birthday. Now feel free to come as you are called. Now LB will take a few more stones, dropping them into the column of water for those who couldn't join us today and for those thoughts unspoken. Now please join me in a spirit of prayer or meditation. Spirit of life, God of many names and no name. Love that stirs within and among us. We come this morning seeking hearts that are open and brave. Teach us to cultivate compassion, not as a fleeting feeling, but as a daily practice, rooted in patience, watered by understanding, and grown through the holy messiness of being human. When the world tempts us toward indifference, soften what is hardened within us. When fear closes us off, remind us that courage often looks like listening. When despair whispers that nothing can change, plant in us the stubborn seed of hope. Help us to see the sacred in every story. The neighbor, the stranger, the one we do not yet know or understand. Help us move beyond sympathy into solidarity, to let our compassion take form in our hands, our voices, our choices, and our presence. May this community be soil for such compassion to grow, a place where we can learn together how to love the world, not perfectly, but faithfully. For the courage to begin again, for the grace to keep trying, and for the love that will not let us go, we give thanks. Amen.
Remaining in an attitude of meditation and prayer, let's sing together, There Is a Love.
There is a love
work of our church is the brave and authentic search for nourishment in community and the sacred obligation to foster justice. We give to this work of our energies and our money. If you would like to donate to this ongoing work, you can do so by placing cash in the baskets as they come by, or by going to our website, uulansing.org, and clicking the donate button. You can also mail checks to the church designating your gift in the memo line. The QR code will also take you to the website directly to the donation page. This month, all undesignated gifts will go to October's special plate partner, the Women's Center of Greater Lansing, which is dedicated to providing a myriad of services and resources, including counseling, resume building, and financial literacy programs to women of all ages and backgrounds. We now gratefully receive this morning's offering.
Do you hear the people sing the song of angry men? It's the music of a people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there's a life about to start when tomorrow comes.
Will you join in the crusade? Who will be strong and stand with me? Beyond the barricade, you the world you want to see. Then join in the fight and be gifted the right to be free. To hear the people singing the song of angry men. It is the music of a people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there is a life about to stop when tomorrow comes. Of angry men, it is the music of people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there is a life about to start when tomorrow comes.
Thank you for the jazz combo being here today. This has been wonderful. In 1994, I was in 3rd or 4th grade. And two of my favorite teachers happened to be Fred Rogers and LeVar Burton. Mr. Rogers taught me about self-respect, kindness, and empathy, while LeVar Burton taught me to have a love for stories, a love for reading, and because of that, a love for creating. All of these lessons have served me incredibly well in seminary as I explore ideas of alternative religious communities, different concepts of the word God, as well as what it means to be a religious person. But on September 10th of 1994, thanks to PBS, a new educator appeared in my living room. She was short, had curly red hair, and often wore a dress covered in all sorts of things from rocket ships to rulers, magnets, beakers, bugs, birds, and anything related to different aspects of her favorite subject, science. Her name was Miss Frizzle. Seatbelts, everyone! Miss Frizzle taught me a lot, not just about science, but looking back, also taught me how to approach theology. You see, Miss Frizzle was about doing. Miss Frizzle was not just talking to us about science and having us read our textbooks. Miss Frizzle arranged field trips so that we could experience what we were studying. Be that studying how white blood cells battle an infection while finding ourselves in someone's bloodstream. Exploring our solar system not in a planetarium, but in outer space. Or maybe learning about ants by being in the dirt with the ants themselves, shrunk down to their size. She did this so that we didn't just understand something. She wanted us to know it, have it impact us, have it open our minds to think about things we had never considered and experience things we could have never imagined. I am sure many of us know her oft-repeated call to action. Take chances, make mistakes, get messy. But 5 years before this, on November 16th of 1989, 6 Jesuit priests, Ignacio Echeverria, Ignacio Martin Barro, Segundo Montes, Juan Ramon Moreno, Joaquin Lopez y Lopez, Amanda Lopez, and their housekeeper Elba Ramos and her daughter Selena Ramos were murdered by the US-backed trained and equipped military in El Salvador. The army was sent to take care of Father Echeverria for the incredible crime of living compassionately with those in El Salvador. Echeverria, as well as the other priests, were internationally recognized scholars who wrote and spoke extensively about the need for peace and the root causes of the war in El Salvador. They understood the situation in El Salvador so intimately that they knew the stories of those they cared for. The people who were living in abject poverty, the hungry, the unhoused, the uneducated, anyone who had their potential as human beings restricted by the civil war and their material conditions. They lived by the motto of take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. 9 years before this, on March 24th of 1980, Oscar Romero was assassinated for similar reasons. On the 23rd, Archbishop Romero delivered a sermon in which he called on Salvadoran soldiers as Christians to obey God's higher order and to stop carrying out the government's repression and violations of basic human rights. The next day, after delivering his sermon, a red car pulled up, a gunman got out, shot him twice, and sped away. His crime was calling the church to compassion, or compassio in Latin, which means suffering together. He once articulated, the church would betray its own love for God and its fidelity to the gospel if it stopped being the voice of the voiceless, a defender of the rights of the poor, a promoter of every just aspiration for liberation, a guide, an empowerer, a humanizer, of every legitimate struggle to achieve a more just society. He continued, "This demands of the church a greater presence among the poor. It ought to be in solidarity with them, running the risks they run, enduring the persecution that is their fate." He also lived the cry of Miss Frizzle, taking chances, making mistakes, and absolutely getting messy. "11 years before that, a 23-year-old man was also assassinated by the FBI. His name was Fred Hampton, deputy chairman of the National Black Panther Party and chair of the Illinois chapter. He founded the anti-racist, anti-classist Rainbow Coalition, a prominent multicultural political organization that initially included the Black Panthers, the Young Patriots, and the Young Lords, an alliance among major Chicago street gangs to help them end infighting and work for social change. Hampton considered fascism the greatest threat, saying, "Nothing is more important than stopping fascism, because fascism will stop us all." He didn't live long, but he was not afraid to take chances and get messy either. History is full of people who are willing to cultivate compassion within themselves and within their greater communities. They do this by standing alongside and suffering with those who are suffering the most. And when I was growing up, before the dawn of social media, when our stories were much more one-sided, the United States often struggled with compassion for the global situation. We were often being given a one-sided story in the news and the media. That Africa was underdeveloped and poor, that Central and South America were being overrun by the communists who wanted to instill military dictatorships, and of course China and Russia were also incredibly problematic. The problems across the world were not ours. We were the heroes, the people who were smarter and more developed than any other country in the world. However, on September 11th, 2001, the United States realized it was not the invincible country it claimed to be. I was a freshman in high school, in what was called VIP, or Variable Instructional Period. The idea was to use it to get help in classes where we were struggling, but I was instead hanging out with friends in the choir room. The TV was on in the corner, but the program we were watching and laughing at disappeared. I don't remember what we were watching, but I do remember the smoke coming and fire on my screen and the reporter talking. I ran into my teacher's office. "Bushy, a plane just hit the Pentagon." He ran out of the office with me, back in front of the TV, and all of us just sat there in silence, a bit scared, a bit nervous. The rest of that day was also mostly silent. Even in the cafeteria, we barely talked, and if we did, it was about what we saw. It wasn't long after that the first plane hit the Twin Towers. All of us and our teachers just sat each period watching everything unfold. I don't remember where I was when I watched them fall, but I remember how incredibly powerful it was. Back then, I didn't understand the concepts of colonialism. I didn't understand how we had a history of destabilizing the Middle East. I didn't know about what could cause organizations like the Taliban to form. All I knew, and all most of us knew, was that America was under attack. What happened with this being so close to home is that our nation mourned together. We suffered not only with the collective fear of that moment, but we also thought about the person who jumped from the building who thought that way was a better way out than waiting for the smoke or fire to kill them. We thought about the families who were devastated. We thought about the effects it would have on the greater New York area, and we thought about the emergency and military personnel who responded to this moment, trying to find survivors, clearing out rubble, being covered in blood, dust, and other forms of debris. While many of us were coming together, though, not too far from us in Dearborn and other places across the country, Muslims and other Middle Eastern people, both immigrants and born here, were facing a rise in violence and death at the hands of scared Americans, mostly white, many who claimed to be Christians. What I remember incredibly distinctly is the news story of the Satanists in Florida. I don't remember if they were of the Satanic Temple or not, but they escorted their Muslim neighbors to and from grocery stores, doctor's appointments, school. They protected them from the people who would see the dead. They were willing to take chances, get messy, and throw down for the lives of their fellow human beings. All of this, of course, while the discourse of Islamophobia intensified by both Christian and atheist apologists, most notably at that time by Sam Harris, a neuroscientist, well-known atheist/anti-theist, and extremely critical of all forms of religion. I bring him up because he had a terrible vision of Islam before he sat down with a Muslim scholar and journalist, Maajid Nawaz. And what prompted the conversation they had was while at a dinner after a conference that they both attended, Sam Harris, who had been mostly quiet at the table, was asked if he had anything to say, in which he addressed Maajid directly. Maajid, I have a question for you. It seems to me that you have a nearly impossible task, and yet much depends on you being able to accomplish it. You want to convince the world, especially the Muslim world, that Islam is a religion of peace that has been hijacked by extremists. But the problem is that Islam isn't a religion of peace, and the so-called extremists are seeking to implement what is arguably the most honest reading of the faith's actual doctrine. So your maneuvers on the stage tonight, the claims you made about interpretations of Scripture, the historical context in which certain passages in the Quran must be understood, appear disingenuous. You seem obliged to pretend that jihad is an inner spiritual struggle, whereas it's actually primarily a doctrine of holy war. I would like to know whether this is, in fact, the situation as you see it. Is the path forward a matter of pretending certain things are true long enough and hard enough to make them true? Sam was certainly messy, and he took a chance, but it ended up being a beautiful mistake. Maajid could have responded in any number of ways. Here was an American openly against religion, who wrote a book targeted at Islam specifically, who saw Maajid as someone doing what they could to create a false narrative. After all, Sam had seen and read and decided. Maajid didn't respond in anger. Instead, he went on to invite Sam to have a much longer conversation, which became a book, Islam and the Future of Tolerance. After this conversation, they became incredibly close and regard each other as some of their best friends. Maajid took a moment to realize that the place that Sam was coming from, saw his anger at religion, saw his fear of what happened to his country, and chose to enter into that suffering and sit down and have a conversation, which could have gone horribly for him. No progress could have been made, but he took a chance and it made a world of difference. The Jesuits who were martyred, along with Oscar Romero, Fred Hampton, and the grace-filled Maajid Nawaz were able to cultivate a genuine compassion because they listened to the stories of those affected and they saw the conditions and situations in which people were suffering. They were compelled, some by religious obligation, some by socio-political conviction, to enter into that suffering and do what was possible, not only to know those people most deeply affected, but also to address the symptoms and the systems that hurt them. Lenny Duncan, in his book, Dear Revolutionaries, a field guide for a world beyond the church, says, "Our deep fear of each other is so unnatural and so demonic. I can't stress how important this is. We are built for each other, designed to be in community, even if that definition of that evolves. We are meant to be in community." They continued saying, most of us, instead of taking the risk of actually being in community and getting to know people, call our personal armed concierge service the police. They more or less go on to say that we do not feel empowered to go check on the couple the whole neighborhood can hear arguing because we haven't made time to get to know them. Not know them by saying, "Hi, how's your day going? Look at this weather." But rather, knowing what your neighbors are passionate about, their hopes, their dreams, their fears, their insecurities, so that you can understand their stories. So how do we bridge this barrier? How do we find out more about our neighbor, the store owner, the person 5 people down from you in either direction? Church people sit in cliques. We're a cafeteria, How do we bridge the gap between our lived experiences? How do we get to understand more deeply why people express themselves or are passionate about various things and are unwilling to talk about others? We talk to each other. We make time, intentional time, to sit down one-on-one, breaking bread or over coffee or tea, and you learn about each other. If you are interested in this exercise, I encourage you to do this with someone in church that maybe you don't know very well. For those of you who have been part of this community for 10 plus years, reach out to someone who you know has been here for a few months or a few years. If you have been coming for a few months, a few weeks, a few years, find someone outside of your pew section and sit next to them. Talk to them. Try to find ways to connect outside of church. And more awkwardly, do this with your neighbor you have lived down the street from for some time, and you know you exchanged names at some point, but can't remember what theirs was. And admit that, and say, would it be possible to make time to get to know each other better? Because when you learn their stories, when they become a deeply interconnected part of your growing community, you cultivate that compassion. And thankfully, while it may feel like an awkward chance to take, while it might be a little messy, it is not a mistake to want to be in community with others. So get out there, not with the white blood cells or in space or with ants, but with each other. Take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. Cultivate the compassion for those around you and beyond. May it be so, and amen.
To paraphrase Gandhi, if we want to see change in the world, we need to embody that change and proclaim it. Please join together in singing Be the Change from the Justice Choir Songbook. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. And change will come to you. Be the voice you want to hear in the world. Be the voice
please join me in saying our benediction? As a religious community inspired by awe and wonder, we nurture spiritual growth, connect in authentic, loving relationships, and engage in courageous work for peace and justice. Our service is over. May we go forward cultivating compassion.
Do you hear the people sing,
singing the song of angry men? It is the music of the people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there is a life about to start when tomorrow comes. Will you join in our crusade? Who will be strong and stand with me? Beyond the barricade, is there a world you long to see? Then join in the fight and fight, the right to be free.